engagement I've been doing is when I've been on the streets talking to people, the non-library users are like, I use ebooks. And I'm like, we have ebooks. And they're like, oh. Yeah. So it's around marketing ourselves. Stu, you said it to me. So, yeah.
Box is good.
Yeah. And we have Libby as well. And we also don't have the funds to diversify our collections for those who live in our communities who don't speak English. And are also ratepayers. So we started planning this strategy in November. In December and January, undertook a research report to ensure that our library strategy is based on evidence, not assumptions. And I will include that report. It's not taxing. Have you had a look at it, Stu? No. It's not taxing, but it is based on best practice. We don't want to build something that doesn't make sense. And in February, we had our first ever all-staff workshop where we all came together from libraries all across the district. And that was really great. So they all got to contribute to this strategy. In March and April this month, I am doing community engagement, and I hope to bring a draft back to council in June and have it over the line by July. So there's a slide in there that you might like to look at when you are doing your questions in regards to what are other libraries doing, and that's simply just some bullet points pulled out of the report, so I won't go over that. And then in the next slide is where we're talking about our 100 great ideas. Let's shape the future of Central Otago libraries. And that is about the community engagement piece that we've been doing, which has been really rewarding. So we have done a survey. We've got interactive boards inside our libraries that people can just contribute post-it notes to. And that's been really popular, especially with young people. And what's been really lovely is you'll see a young person come back for the second or the third time when they come, because some of them come weekly and things. So, and they'll stand there and then they'll add another one, so that is cute. We've had roaming boards at meetings, and I've been out on the streets with the team, and that's where I've been hearing from non-library users. That's a really important group that we wanted to connect with. And we've also gathered insights from targeted groups, which we've approached and completed engagement with library staff and wider council. I have spoken to one group, Mama and Pepe in Alexandra, and one of the things that they said to us was, it's a 2-year waiting list to get our children into ECE care. And so we can't go to work and we're isolated and lonely. Could you offer a playtime at the library? And so we were like, yeah, we can do that. We don't need to wait for a strategy to do that. So we've already got that set up. It's called Playtime. It's on a Monday morning. It's straight after when mums drop off the big kids. Then they come to the library, and the space is theirs to use. We've got a children's area, so they can all hang out there. And we've advertised it so people who might like some quieter time won't come at that time. And then the other group I spoke to was work from home. So in the last census in 2023, 22.7% of people in Central Otago work from home, which is 5% more than the higher national average. So they were saying to us, we love coming in to work in your libraries, and then we go off and shop and, all those sorts of things. They prefer the Alex Library because it's got the meeting space upstairs, study space. Cromwell's actually really hard to get into. It's very tight. You can very rarely get a seat. And so, so I'm really keen to hear from more non-users and our rural and remote communities. I also was on the radio station yesterday talking about it. So
that was Logan.
Yeah, more
FM.
Yeah.
That was one. Yeah.
It's got the face radio too, isn't he? I think was way people.
So basically that's my presentation. If you've got any questions, I'm here to answer as well as I can.
Do you have any other school relationships like you do here at Wakaira School?
So at Alex, we have schools walk to us.
Yeah, cool.
So the little primary school across the road, easy. The Catholic school comes, but the terraces is too far away.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping to get up and running next term is a partnership with the high school kids, and it's called Gen Connect. So what we do is we tap into those high school kids who are getting their awards for Duke of Edinburgh and things like that. They need to volunteer. So they come down to the library on, say, a Monday afternoon, and we set them up to support elderly people with their digital problems.
Yeah.
And then what happens is it's a win-win because they end up having these great conversations, and
And I guess with like the way this is run as part of the school, we've got two small rural schools with a Co and Miller's Flat where we open one day a week in conjunction with them. Is it 2 hours? Miller's Flat and Co.
Yeah.
1 day a week. So yeah.
It
Sure.
works with,
Does, yeah.
It works really well here because what you've got is a library that's on the front road that you don't have to go into the school to sign in to get into the library, whereas the other ones you have to sign in through reception, and so that can be a barrier for people. Yeah.
If you wonder why I look so old and haggard, one of the meetings, the toughest meeting I had was in school and the council and Belinda Collins and Betsy in it.
Yeah.
The council were very popular. And but that got negotiated out the funding to get it right. And that's hopefully the criticism of not rigorous debate, but it was good, and it was a good library before that, but there was also the council funding enough relative to whatever, but you're in those days too, Harry, weren't you? You're on the school side. You're on the school side. But,
well, for half it.
yeah, and I mean, but that's what it's about. The community gets it right around here, and hopefully in the benefit. But what blew me away, this one's equally as good as the one you gave the council, is the number of usages that the libraries get that I never ever thought of. And it's a soft part of our community that a lot of us on the board don't see.
Yeah.
We see it when they become challenging toilets or sports fields and seeing gold mines and the big heavy hitting stuff. But this actually touches the real people.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. And it blew me away just, and even the work you do with limited budget, which for me tells them we've got to look at our budgets for libraries, because it actually really affects the people. The other stuff affects a road or a broom bush or other stuff, and you could lose in a budget or a weather event or a road something like traffic management could take away a lot of this funding. So in the long term, we need to really look at that, and because it affects 12,000 people and a fantastic experience. From everyone drives the road, gets the rubbish picked up, and they don't care about what council. But this is the stuff that they care about. I think they're doing a fantastic job.
And I've taken on board your marketing comment, but also when we've been talking to non-library users, that's what it comes back to. So I hope to include some of that in the strategy about how can we promote ourselves.
And my criticism was, we need to hear this. The community need to hear this. I hear about what we're not doing well, but they don't go, oh my God, do you know the best? 12,900 people within the library. Amazing. That BC goes down the corner and gets a haircut and gets the library's used a lot. It's fantastic. So as a councillor or elected member, it's like that's a really positive thing that we should be pushing out to the people on the street going, but you're getting this for the extra $45 a year. So I think, and I've been big on that, saying to staff is actually, well, we keep it in this format. It's not a format that the old ladies around at the Pottery Club will go and have a look at. So we want to be promoting that and saying, well, hey, look, the geese staff are doing it and been on the radio and all that. That's actually equally a staff job going, schools or the mayor going, the libraries are going fantastic. And it's 180,000 people, 180,000 short going 180,000. So I think it's really important that we're seen in that field.
Yeah, and on that note, if you do have are in contact with groups where they have speakers, I'm happy to go and talk. So please email me, and I'm only 6 months into the job, so I'm not connected to the community like you guys are. So that'd be really helpful. Yeah.
Do we share with QLDC? Do we do stuff alongside you?
Yeah, so what happens with QLDC is we share the same library management system, which is great because we get a discounted price for that.
Yeah.
But then because of that, we share the books. So we get twice the amount of collection that we would if we were sitting by ourselves in our own library management service. So there is some courier cost around that, but supersedes what you would have to do to buy all those books.
100%. Yeah, it's a good relationship there, isn't it?
And that's something Emma works really closely with Sue, the libraries manager in Queenstown, on regularly to keep that going. You know, it's obviously it comes under different pressures. We're talking about funding and things like that.
Yeah.
Really challenging.
Obviously, they have a high population, so we contribute less money to, but we monitor that together, so that doesn't get out of whack.
The Bride box is great. I use it quite a bit.
We've tried a few things. Like one of the things that Becky wanted us to try was like late nights on. Did we do Thursday night?
We did, it didn't work, did it?
It didn't really get the uptake that I think that we probably had when we were kids. You know,
I think you tried a bit hard on that, really. I think, people get used to around here, it's just, this is a time frame, this is a slot.
Yeah.
And you don't, like, it's hard enough on staff trying to do, to take something to another level is hard around these parts,
But it's also really cool that you tried it and tested it out, because then how would we know?
Trying to make an aim out all day.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to keep it here.
Yeah, you did well.
Any more questions? Thanks very much. Very good. Thank you again. Leasing and licensing policy.
Yeah.
Now on Michelle Wilkes.
Yeah. Free, I think, presenting. And play the slide.
We'll go in community experience. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably goes.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
Trying to get really good to get some slides on the screen.
Emma
wouldn't it?
takes
You
over my
guys-
job.
You're not going to spoil the bubbly atmosphere here, eh?
Well, we are the
No, for
the
George
lawyers
and
and
time.
policy
Yeah, so it's the
people,
board
so
that's coming up. With a yawn, sorry. But
we try not to make it boring for you, but I'll just start while we're pulling the slides up, because the preamble doesn't need them. So
Send them out
the
to everyone as well. Sorry, I've said to members, but they can have them on their laptop. So they don't succeed with the television.
We'll succeed. You watch this, even if I'm here all
Obviously,
night.
I've made the embarrassing mistake of giving you the same slide twice. So if you could all pretend slide 2 doesn't exist when you get to it, and go straight to slide 3. The leasing and licensing policy, formerly community leasing and licensing, is about 7 years old. I did the 1 year review of what at the time was a policy that was trying to provide a bit more equity around the various leasing and licensing arrangements. And I also completed the 3-year review of it, again with community board feedback only for that. We then got a statutory property team who have legal background instead of my policy background, who took a review of the policy again and have made a few changes to the community side of things, but the majority is to add provisions relating to commercial leases. So the things you most need to know on the community side of things is that historically community boards have really emphasised that we didn't want incorporated societies to be a requirement. They're now a requirement under law, so we've had to put that in there, and we're working with all of those groups who are impacted to find ways through that. The second one is that some of the tightening up of the fees and charges, it won't change things markedly, but we have clarified the language in there, which in theory could mean in the future when a lease comes up, it may have a slightly higher fee attached to it. We will work with you on those, and we've given the boards a bit of scope to act there. Other than that, it's really just trying to tighten it up, and the teams will speak through that with you as we go through the slides. So if we want to jump straight to slide 3 and pretend slide 2 doesn't exist, that is the improvements in this policy. I'll hand over to you guys.
Thank you. So as Alex saying, it's at the moment the changes mainly is combining commercial and community leases, incorporating the law changes for the incorporated societies. So it's also intends to strengthen the transparency and decision making. When me and Michelle started, it was really hard for us to work with that policy to find out what do we take to council, what have we got delegated powers to do ourselves and the like. So we've got a bit of a backlog, quite a bit of a backlog to catch up on.
Quite a bit.
And that made things harder. So it was actually good timing for us to be able to review the policy and put things in that was actually practice, but just to make it more clear for our people following after us and for ourselves. So that was mainly, and then of course aligning it with the legislative requirements, as was said, So we can move on to the next slide.
And just to pause on those delegations, and what that means is the staff will be asking to have the delegated authority to renew a lease where it's really straightforward and simple and there's no point bringing it to a board. But anytime you had two community groups vying for the same building or something like that, it would still come up to elected members.
Thank you. So the 10-year framework what we've included is also, again, just what was in practice, but just adding the commercial component to it. Our 10 years are mostly 15 plus 15 years for community groups. Community licensing, the our intention is a bit shorter terms, so 5 plus 5. And the commercial leases 5 plus 5 as well. That's just a indication. We can always bring the reports to you and shorten or lengthen the periods. The reviews are normally for rent reviews are 5 years for community groups and 2 years for commercial leases because just of the commercial nature. So that hasn't really changed. It's just again putting it more clearly.
So some of those commercial leases, and I was thinking about the farm out here by the forest, we don't see the changes in some of those leases.
So those are very old, very long leases, normally 30-year leases, so some of them perpetual. It's catching up on those really old ones, and we are finding that quite hard as well.
Take me back to that one, because that is a very long one. It used to be a county farm. There's a land owned by this community board, and
Yeah.
was the council now.
Still
Still is.
yeah. It's a long
So-
time lease.
If we want to change the tenure of the lease,
Can't do it unless when the lease finally expires. So that's the problem we have. We're sitting with a lot of really old leases. They were locked in for many years on conditions like perpetuity and that's the big problem.
so, but we can change the dynamics of endowment land. Why can't we change the dynamics of lease and perpetuity?
It's a legal contract with the entity, so until you actually
But all I'm saying is that something we should have a look at legally and we can challenge?
yes.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we represent the ratepayer.
Yeah.
The fairness of the people that pay the bill.
Yes.
And if we feel that some of those leases or maybe not modern enough now, where is the harm in us as an elected group asking that question?
What we've allowed
I
for
think it
is
goes
to
both
change
ways
it
too.
going forward, so we can change what happens going forward and not set up those leases like that. There are some that are legally locked down that we can look at when they come up. And then going forward, we've built in the scope to review the terms of leases in those situations. I'll let you now finish your sentence.
That goes both. So things that are signed in perpetuity often go in both ways. So one party has to want to say break it or renegotiate. That's sometimes us, sometimes the other party who goes, actually, we don't want the full capacity of the land or we want slightly less, so we have to renegotiate the lease. So some of these things that were signed in perpetuity years and years ago, I think were signed under good faith for it to be a forever thing. But because the world's evolved so much, we're now having more and more of these conversations about what does perpetuity look like, what does the totality of the lease look like, what do reviews look like. And I guess you're going to dovetail into that now.
Yes, the intention really of our policies are to bring it up to date so that when these leases start coming up for renewal, we can then address it in those cases that it can. For instance, the Croquet Club in Alexandra has been sitting on endowment land for 30 years and now I'm paying a very small amount of rent. And now it's becoming a contentious issue. It's up for renewal, so we can address it if we've got the right policies in place. So the intention of the policy is really to address future lease agreements and hopefully convince people to also agree to go on to the new leases.
Yeah, and I get that. But I also get it, you have some that aren't, where is the right to challenge?
We did get an opinion on that from one of our lawyers, and it really needs to be both parties agree for that to end. It's not an easy.
On the two big ones we've got though, there is rent reviews, isn't it?
Rent reviews, yes,
Mm.
yes.
Are they getting reviewed though?
Yes.
Well, they can be, yeah. And I think it's just a normal, isn't it? If both
Well-
parties disagree, someone comes in and sets it. Doesn't it?
Again, in the older days, they didn't review them as often.
No.
Hence we're recommending more
So I just
reviews.
check, just because
Yeah.
we have got one that's probably quite big.
Yeah, it's something we can
Yeah,
bring back, and often that's exposed to the commercial nature of the lease as well. So
I'll touch on it later on, but the intention is also to come back to you more often now that we've got a lease management system in place. We've actually not using a spreadsheet anymore, so it's actually a module. So we can come back with reports actually on your area, telling you what's in your area, what's coming up, and giving you a bit more of a feel for your leases in your
Oh,
district.
that's good.
Your
Because
area.
at the end of the day, we're going to be fair to everyone and
It's-
whatever it is, and that's second.
Absolutely, yeah.
Slightly off topic, but you might appreciate the best test cases on in perpetuity at the moment are in cemeteries, where there's
They don't get out of
invasion
there
of
though.
cemetery or things that are happening in
Party won't be able to do much
and
negotiation.
local government staff are having to work through what does in perpetuity mean when you're having to move a grave from a place to another. So there's quite a cool background for that we can definitely look into for you.
Oh, I just thought we got a couple of leases around here that probably looked at, and if that's all it is, and they're fine, they're fine.
You
Yeah.
can take a look.
We're under a 4% rate review, or ratepayers asking
Yes,
for issues that we have, and as long as we get our,
Yeah,
you know.
no,
Do you want
fair
us to come back, or are you right for us just to have a look and
Have a
read
look
it
at
through
it, have a come
Queensland?
back, 'cause I'll talk to you, Alex, one day, isn't it?
Okay.
So next slide, I think, is rent calculations. So that's a big one that we can actually change and try and make some more progress on that. So rent calculations in the old policy was basically venue derived income. There was no provision for minimal rents or minimum rents. The 2021 policy tried to move away from the $1 leases, and we're back on that because after 5 years of implementing the 2021 policy, we found that a lot of the time the council went against the policy and granted a $1 lease for community groups. So we've just made provision for that in cases where it really is still required so that council is still within the policy. The financials are based on the income of these clubs, which is becoming easier to actually assess because of incorporated society. We can actually access the financials ourselves and calculate those rents. You're not relying on the tenant to provide those. We are proposing in this new policy to go on the gross income, less the funding and fundraising, affiliation fees, grants and donations. Again, in the past, I found grants and donation was actually taken off, but never put in the policy. So it's just putting that in the policy. Why we're saying gross income, we found that sometimes clubs try and get away with basically not having the nice to have first and then ending up with $5 at the end, and then you base your rates to the rent on that. That's not a fair call. But again, we're giving the ability in the policy to, in certain cases, on a case-by-case basis, if there really is a club or community group that's financially in dire straits, then we can apply a low rental.
Sorry, so that's just for clubs. You're looking at their gross return,
Yes.
not private.
Now, so
Not-
commercial market is market rent. So we base that on
Yeah,
the market
yeah.
rental, yeah. And we get variations for that from
Yes,
an
you
independent.
wouldn't know what a commercial generates off any building. It's just a per hectare. Yeah.
No, that's based on a valuation done by a valuer.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
Yeah. So the next one is risk. Basically, we've just tightened up on the standard terms and responsibilities. We've included in the new policy health and safety requirements, insurance requirements, assignment rules, which really was there that they have to, they can't just assign the leases. Obviously, they've got to come back to us. And then we've included also reporting on an annual basis to council on leases. Hopefully to be a bit more transparent on what's going on in the leasing work, especially with those we're reviewing and moving forward with. We're encouraging the $5 million public liability insurance. We found clubs being a bit reluctant to commit to those, especially the smaller clubs. but it's more for their protection. And we've also clarified that the public liability insurance of the council doesn't cover the tenants' actions. A lot of clubs thought, oh, council's got public liability insurance, we don't care about them. So it's just really being a bit more clear on issues like that. Next slide, I think, is governance and transparency. We've talked about the delegations table, and it's just really setting out, like I said, what the practice is, and that is when we take it to council and we're not. So I think we talked about that. I can't seem to find it. Oh, that's in our policy. So we basically, you're still going to see all new applications, or applications where there's a renewal, but they want to change the rules on you. So all of those new ones is going to come back to the boards and the council. It's only when we're doing rent reviews in terms of the agreement that you've already approved that we'll be doing it as staff on the staff delegations. Yeah, I think that's about it. But any questions are welcome.
And we'll be doing consultation on this one because to date we've only really spoken to community boards about it. So we were initially going to do targeted consultation just to the users, but we found it's easiest if we put it on our Let's Talk page and contact all leaseholders and license holders and say that that's where it happens. And then our estimate to get that consultation back and have us in front of council is July.
We, as an area, we have a lot of leases. Are we unusual?
Oh,
With that? What do we?
Across council,
Yeah.
yeah, hundreds.
Council is 198 around there,
Oh, really?
total our district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
lot
But
of nice
yeah, I'll have the stats maybe in the next time I
Oh,
can
nice.
talk to you
Yeah.
about your area. There's a lot of renewals due in your
A
area.
lot.
Yeah.
You're going to see these faces.
So you will be seeing us a bit more.
Yeah.
And we'll look
Okay.
at the ones you've been.
Yeah, and there's several, and but of course, one of our best leases is funded the hospital.
Is what, sorry?
Well,
Yeah.
the farm's funded the hospital.
Yeah, funded the loan.
Loan, obviously, so we've got plenty, so we've got to make sure we've got market rate somewhere we can sum up.
Yeah.
Somewhere they were set up, and even gravel farms, we've got gravel on them, where we get in fair market value for our gravel. So all you want is market value.
Yes, yes. That's right.
You're not taking both of that, you're taking a fee off the stick, you want the market value, make sure we've got it right. A lot of Naseby, a lot of land in Naseby.
Okay. Got a bit down there. Yeah, probably it's got everywhere.
Yeah, so. And of course, that'll be all district-wide funded, so it's district asset now, not really ours. It's been taken
No.
up in the district funding, so we've got to make sure that we know where it is, that we've got projects to make sure we keep it, or else we get a swab of a brush and it'll be all on the market. Yeah, that's why we need to make sure we're all over it and get a fair market price, because if we come in and someone comes in and goes, oh, you're only getting a 3% return on that, 0.6. We Cromwell members could turn around and go, see you later, we want rid of those assets, are not getting enough, so we've got to make sure for our